Okay, so I think I'm recording. Okay. So today's lesson, we're going to talk about the hydrologic cycle, which is also known as the water cycle. And the way we're going to do this lesson is that I have performed a number of demonstrations that will demonstrate each of the processes. So you'll see the demo, and then after you see the video of the demo, you'll be asked to identify which process was being shown. Then what I want you to do after you watch each of the demos and answer the question, I would like you to make a vocabulary flashcards. If you don't have your flashcards yet, you can just make a vocabulary list. So you can just write the words and then write the definitions with it. And you should be able to write the definitions with the correct terms based on the demonstration you just saw. So you just talk about what happened. Okay, so the last demonstration you saw, actually two things were being shown, and actually I could say three, but the two things that were being shown, and then the third I'll talk about on the next slide, was just part of the whole model. But the two things that were being shown were infiltration, and that was when the water actually enters the soil. So when rain comes down, it doesn't stay on the surface. Sometimes it will stay on the surface, but usually if it's just on plain surface, no water or river, it infiltrates into the ground. So it goes into the ground. The second thing that was being shown was that water actually moved through the ground after it entered. It just didn't stay right under the surface. It moves down through the ground, and that movement of water through the pores and the little rocks, cracks that are underground, that's called percolation. So it's moving through the pores, percolation. And it could end up in an aquifer, which is underground, which we will talk about later in the year. But there's also, if you can see it, there's little water kind of cracks throughout the soil where water forms. And that is the next term, groundwater. So groundwater is all the water that's found underground, and it's found in pores in the soil. It's found in cracks in the rocks. And there's actually some places that have underground streams and rivers. And then a lot of locations have aquifers, which are just kind of like underwater lakes. And this is part of the water cycle because water will end up as groundwater, but it doesn't stay there. It'll either come up through springs, or the water does continue to flow. It flows towards rivers, it flows towards the ocean, so it will come out of the ground eventually.